Welcome, college basketball fans, to the Full Court Press Podcast with LT and Sammy D. This is the podcast that brings you legendary stories from college basketball's golden era and dives in deep with a current analysis of today's game. Get ready for the most energetic and entertaining college basketball podcast around. Let's get it.
So, Sam, we continue on our journey of greatness as we do 31 conference preview shows. Is there still 31 conferences? I feel like there's, by the minute, conferences are changing and morphing.
We're going to get caught up, but yeah, we're doing 31 conference previews this year. And this next one's, I think they're going to be surprising some people just like they did last year.
Yeah. So this was one of my favorite conference tournament championships. We actually have one of the gentlemen were part of it. We've got the Atlantic Sun Conference with both legendary coaches. We got Donnie Jones, a familiar guest of the Full Court Press podcast, of Stetson the Hatters. And we got Lennie Acuff, a legend in his own right from Lipscomb, simply known as the Bisons on the Full Court Press podcast. Welcome to the press, guys.
It's great to be with you. Thanks for having us. We're excited.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us. And you are looking at Donnie Jones, the defending ASUN tournament champ, very well deserved.
Yeah, and also, too, simply known as the smooth operator.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You thought we were going to leave that one, huh?
I believe that one. We'll leave that one.
We're going to have to tune into some old episodes where Donnie Jones called out his favorite song that describes
favorite song.
Yeah, it's great.
Yep. So interesting summer. You know, it's obviously been probably a summer like none before with the NIL and transfer portal. Unfortunately, for some of you, like Lennie, it's good that Jalen Blackman left Stetson, but and Swenson and Aubrey. But you know, talk like maybe about a minute or so. Just talk about individual teams. So Donnie, why don't we actually, Lennie, you're the guest here. Lennie, tell me about Lipscomb a little bit. How you guys are looking this summer.
Well, you know, it's been like we talked a little bit before we hopped on. It's just, and Donnie and I visited a little earlier today. I think all of us are still trying to collect intel. I think, you know, the ability to adapt is now more important than ever in college basketball. I think we all know how we would like to play, but until you get all your guys in and you get to really watch them day in and day out, I don't think you really have a blueprint of exactly the way it needs to go. But I like our team. I've enjoyed getting to be around them on a daily basis. And when you get to the point in your career where Donnie and I are, that's really important, that every day you show up, you enjoy them. And so I think that allows us a chance to grow and be better. And you know, it's so interesting, though. There's so many moving parts to all this right now. Perception is not necessarily reality. I know a couple of people sent me stuff where we're picked to win the league by some different magazines or whatever it is. I mean, we lost 4 of our top 6 scorers. And, you know, and I just think that none of us are really going to know until you get to January what kind of team you have.
Yeah. And honestly, let's be honest, it's really, you know, you play the league season, but it really is that weekend in March, right? It all builds up to that. But you also have a player who sat out last year due to injury that was first team all ASUN a couple years ago.
Yeah, Jacob Obnakovich, the easiest thing to do is refer him as J.O. That last name's a handful. But he is a good player, and we lost him actually the night before we opened up at Wichita State. And we're hopeful to get him back, and it never worked out. But it's really, really proud of our guys that we kept improving and getting better without him, and ended up having a good year. And we're equally thankful that Jacob decided to come back. So obviously that's very helpful. He's had a really good summer and early fall. So really hoping he can have a great year for us. We need him to for sure.
Yeah. What about you, Coach Jones, down in beautiful Orlando, Florida? Not even Orlando, Florida. You're away from Orlando. You called me from Orlando. That's why you got me. You're on the west coast of Florida. Tell me about the Hatters.
Yeah, well, you know, I got to look at my roster just to pronounce the guys on my team. So, you know, I had some boosters walk in, wanting to watch practice, and they asked one of my assistant coaches, "Do you have a roster? To who these guys are?" So we had to start putting a roster together to see who we had. We got so many new guys, but obviously, Coach mentioned it earlier, and it's just been it's a different time, and all across college basketball, I think you're seeing that. But obviously, we have 9 new players, and we lost 9 guys last year, and obviously, our top 5 or 6 guys that would have returned all chose to go into the portal. So, but it's almost like you got the job again in a different way, and obviously with the big target on your back when you come off winning anytime, teams are going to come in and play you at a very high level, and obviously Lennie's done an incredible job last year. He had a great season too. I mean, we were all one game away, so close in the points in the tournament. The parity was crazy, and come down to the last possession in so many games in this ASUN tournament, and it just happened to go our way down the stretch to win. But he's got a great team this year, obviously, with the guys he's got returning and what he's established there. And North Alabama returns a lot of guys this year as well. They got a guard back to go along with Daniel Ortiz that gives them a chance to have one of the best backcourts in the league. Florida Gulf Coast has, returned a couple guys and they got some new faces, but they returned some guys I think will be pretty good. And, Eastern Kentucky, same thing. They lost a lot of guys, but they also picked up a lot of transfers. So, I think you're going to see who evolves as it goes down the stretch here right now and how we go through and learn our teams in non-conference play. And I think it'll be another battle again with some teams at the top, like Lipscomb, who's going to be right there fighting for it, just like it was this past season.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a little bit about building that non-conference schedule, and we've talked to so many coaches who are still trying to put games on their schedule, right? Sure. But it seems like you guys have figured out some of the keys to that. I mean, Lipscomb's got Duquesne right off the bat, and then Arkansas 2 days later. I mean, Stetson's got Oklahoma, LSU, and Florida. You guys have done a very good job building a non-conference schedule. So can you guys talk a little bit about that?
Well, Sam, that's probably the most difficult layer of all this is trying to figure out a way. The elephant in the room is everybody in our league has to get bought. You have to play X amount of buy games. And figuring out a way to keep your head above water, but still bringing in the money you have to bring in is very difficult. And this is for us our schedule. I just look at it, so you got to be kidding. And but at the end of the day, and you guys follow college basketball closely, and a league at our level, it all comes down to 1 week in March.
Yeah,
it's 1 week in March, and it is cruel. It is cruel. And Donnie's a dear fan. I was so happy for him last year to win the tournament. But he'll tell you, Donnie, I don't know the exact number, but I think you were down 10 with like 3 minutes to go in the semifinals.
I was.
And came back and won. The first night of the league tournament, and we play our games on our home courts. And all 4 games went to the last possession of the game. And, we all watched the Olympics this summer. And if you think about the 100-yard dash and everybody's leaning in, I felt like when we got to the tournament, and Jacksonville proved this, they were the 10 seed, and they're a breath away from playing for the championship. When we got to the last 2 weeks of the season, I did not think there were 2 baskets difference in anyone. And so just on that one night, does the ball bounce your way or not? And it can be really cruel. We've lost the last 2 years on last-second shots. And boy, that's hard, but that's reality. So not to be long-winded, but I think all of us fight like crazy to just try to get to January with your head above water and with your team's confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe you should check the rims and all these opposing baskets you guys shoot on. That might be the biggest problem. But I find it interesting. And we've got a couple other conferences obviously coming up. And the one thing I noticed with one conference in particular, they're recruiting more foreign. You lost Jalen Blackman. Chaz Lanier went to Tennessee. Are you guys seeing maybe a shift to maybe more of a foreign roster than maybe years past because of the NIL and the protection from it?
Well, I think it depends on style of play. Obviously, for me, I think it's vital because those guys come in very mature. Obviously, we're located in Florida. There's a lot of international players down here. We're an international school with a lot of different diversity here. So I think it plays to us. Academics are big, and a lot of those students, that come in international, those kids are really, good with their academics as well as their skill level. So I think half my team is pretty much always going to be international. That's what we focused on. I think they seem to be more mature, more ready, and versatile, I think, in the style of play. So, with that, I added, 6 international players quickly for me, just because I thought I could get experience and guys that would fit our culture in a quick way.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Coach Cuff?
Well, we don't actually have any internationals on our team. The thing that I think for all of us is everybody has a niche. Like, what is your niche? Like Donnie's done an incredible job there getting international kids, and every school, the dynamics are different, and just trying to figure out what fits. I tell you what we've done well, and Donnie's done well in this area too. Is we've had kids that have transferred up. NAIA Division II, Division III kids. And, I coached Division II basketball for 29 years. And if there's been one thing that's refreshing about all this is I feel like I've been validated saying I know we had a lot of teams and players that could play at this level. And you're seeing that come to fruition here. We've been really fortunate to get kids from some Division II, and even Donnie and I both had a really good Division III player 2 years ago. And
yes.
So it's been great for those kids to have an opportunity. The other thing about those kids when you get them, guys, is they have a level of thankfulness and gratitude that's really refreshing.
Yeah.
It's just their excitement and thankfulness to be there. It's a light bulb moment for us.
Yeah. 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 And they also have a chip on the shoulder for maybe being passed over. And
Yes.
obviously getting a couple guys on a court against maybe a better team. I'd rather have those dogs in the fight than the other ones. So Coach Jones, I want to go back to you for a second. You never said anything about Austin P.
Yeah, well, Austin P. Obviously.
What did you think of What did you think of Coach Gibson's Army fatigue pants when he played you guys?
Yeah, you know what? He rallied his team, and
Yeah.
I think that was what he did a great job. He finished as well as anybody in our league. As Coach was talking about, teams that played really well down the stretch, and his team was as good as anybody in the league. I don't know if they won their last 6 or 8 games. I don't know exactly what it was, but they were experienced and they had a lot of guys that could play. And he did a great job getting his team ready.
Yep, the league is looking really good. So we're going to ask a couple quick questions to both of you because I know we're on a time crunch with you guys. All right, just quick hitters, and I'm curious what you guys have to say about these. All right, and whoever wants to go first can go. One word to describe the ASUN.
I think competitive.
Would you agree, Coach Cuff?
Yes, and I would say extremely well coached. I know that's not one word, but they are really good coaches in this league.
Yeah.
The thing I think Donnie and I have seen, there are several guys like Donnie and I that have coached for a long time and have a lot of experience. And we're adding 2 fantastic coaches into our league this year, and John Schulman and Dave Moore, guys that have won a lot of games and do a great job. And then there's some young guys that are right up and coming stars. I mean, these guys are good. You referenced Corey a little bit earlier at Austin P, and there's several guys I just have a ton of respect for.
Okay. Okay. All right, Coach Cuff, you're going to answer this first. Toughest place to play in the conference?
In my mind, North Alabama. Yeah, the very small gym, good environment. They're very comfortable there. I don't know if you feel that way, Donnie, but I think it's been a tough place for everybody to go in there and win. And Tony does a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would say that. And then, sometimes it can be Florida Gulf Coast, depending on what the scenario is. In Eastern Kentucky, you could probably throw them in there, depending on how they're winning. But obviously, Eastern, Coach, you were in there last year, and it was very high level as well.
Yep. All right, Coach Jones, I'll ask you first. Best ASUN conference official.
Wow.
Just glad he didn't ask what the worst one is. So.
Yeah. See, I don't even know any of them's names. How about that? Yeah, I can't answer that one. I don't know. Coach, you can answer that. I got to look it up.
Yeah, we're in a consortium now. I would say this: Mike Eads that runs our league does a great job.
He's awesome.
And honestly, guys, you see so many different ones. We don't get many multiple nights. I would have a hard time answering that as well. And I'm not trying to be politically correct.
Right.
I think
a
lot of times you get some good young guys that are on their way up, but you don't see them very long.
Yep. Okay. Best dress coach.
Wow. Go ahead, Coach.
I'd probably say maybe Pat Chambers.
Yeah, I
Pat
was thinking of
every
Pat.
night. You know, he's
Yeah.
he's one of the guys that's still wearing a suit. And
He's still suiting up every night.
oh
Mhm.
yeah, AW and Grant will also suit up, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah, Pat, I've admired his attire.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'd say A-Dub, as Coach said, I was going to say A-Dub or Pat. A-Dub's always got well-fitted suits, man. He looks
Yeah.
like he's right out of GQ magazine.
Yeah. Eastern Kentucky for you, baby. All right.
Mhm.
The most animated coach on the sideline.
That's an easy answer, and he's going to be new in the league this year. Dave Moore and John Schull will be right there with him. They both will get after it now. The guys in the league, I don't know, Donnie. I
Yeah.
have an opinion on that.
Yeah, I don't that's a Pat's pretty intense, on the sideline in a good way. He really demands his team to defend and play hard. But other than that, Tony's very competitive too. I think in a good way. He gets his kids to really compete and coaches with great energy, which I respect. But I would say those two guys are probably the most animated in our league.
Okay, here's a little trivia question. Last question. The team that had the most personal fouls in conference last year. Or just in general, actually, for the whole year. Who fouled the most in the conference?
I would say Jacksonville if I was just off the top of my
Boom,
head.
you are correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will tell you this: don't sleep on those Dolphins. They got a good team back. I mean,
Yes.
they got a high level player, Rob McCray. I mean, like high level. I mean,
I was
Donnie,
gonna,
how many
yeah,
did he score against you in the semifinals?
I don't know,
Yeah.
something like 75, Coach. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know ever stop.
he was putting up 35 every night down the stretch. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
18,
good.
yeah, 18.4 points a game. He's the highest returning scorer. Okay, who fouled the least in the conference? Of all the conference team, who fouled the least?
Coach Jones.
Probably us.
You were
Uh,
ninth.
We were ninth. Okay.
I'm talking to the other one that fouled
Yeah,
the least.
we actually we were second in the country in fewest fouls. I think Miami
wow.
was first, and we were second. That also means we probably didn't guard anybody. I don't think there's probably we need to try to guard them a little bit. Like I told our guys, like we do want to shoot more free throws than our opponents, make more free throws than our opponents attempt, but like we need to get around them to foul them every once in a while.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. Stetson, you had 14.8, Lipscomb 12.9. So you guys won nothing. You got nothing. You only skirted one question, best conference official, and that's okay. Tell me what to expect. This is the last question from each of you guys. What should we expect from the ASUN conference this year?
Well,
and
I
is there
think
anything going to surprise us? Like what's kind of your prediction for kind of like biggest surprise or underdog story, whether it's a team or a player?
That's a great question. There's so many new guys. I mean, obviously, I know two teams I got the most respect for right off, obviously, is Coach and his team at Lipscomb with what he's done and where he's put himself. I'm not trying to put pressure on him, but he's got a great team that's so well coached and plays together, even though he lost some guys. But I'd say next probably is Jacksonville. I think they're going to be really talented and loaded. I think they could be a team that maybe some people aren't talking about, but it won't be because of their talent. They got a lot of it. If they can put it together, they could be really dangerous and good at this league.
I like that.
I think I agree. I think, and also what I think, you can take a lot of leads from this stuff in football is there will be volatile. Like you saw in the first 2 weeks of college football, how does this happen? How does that happen? When all of us have so many new people, it's just going to be, there's going to be so many ebbs and flows to the whole season. And the other thing is, I think by the end of the year, our league will be tremendously underrated again, because if you go through and you look at everybody's schedule, guys, it's going to be very difficult for anybody in our league to be over 500 by the time we get to Christmas. And so the national pundits or whatever, they're going to say, well, the ASUN's a bad league or whatever it is. But, most of us get to play about 3 non-conference home games all year. And so I think it'll be volatile, but I think the parity reigns in this league. I'm just telling you, last year I could not believe just how level the whole thing ended up being at the end. And then, like I referenced, who can come make a play? You better have a guy like Donnie did last year. He had 2 in Swinson and Blackman. You better have somebody that can stop the bleeding. A human tourniquet wins you a championship.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Players got to make plays.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep. Well, coaches, we're really excited for the ASUN. Check him out. Coach Jones, thanks for joining us from Stetson, and Coach Lennie Acuff from Lipscomb. We really appreciate it. We love mid-major basketball. We love basketball in general. So it's been an honor.
Oh, thanks for having us. You guys are awesome, man. Always love being with you and love the show. You guys do a great job.
We appreciate it, coaches. Thanks, guys. Good luck.
Let's hope we can never help. Good luck. Thank you.
Yeah.